Jack Miller stood at the window of his office on Earth Central Command, watching ships take off into the night sky. The stars looked different now. For 6 months, everyone on Earth knew they were not alone. Humanity had finally achieved faster-than-light travel, and within weeks of their first jump they encountered the Galactic Council. "Ambassador Miller, the final briefing starts in 10 minutes, said Lily Carpenter from the doorway. Her voice was steady, but Jack could hear the tension underneath. "Thank you, Lily, I'll be right there," he replied without turning from the window. Jack straightened his dark blue uniform and checked his reflection in the glass. At 48, his face showed signs of a difficult life, a small scar above. His right eyebrow, deep lines around his eyes, and gray streaks in his brown hair. Nothing in his appearance suggested that Earth's fate might rest on his shoulders. The hallways of Earth Central Command buzzed with activity as Jack made his way to the briefing room. Officers and diplomats nodded respectfully as he passed. Everyone knew his mission. Everyone knew the stakes. Inside the briefing room, General Kate Powell stood before a large holographic display showing a massive space station shaped like a wheel with 7 spokes. "Concordia Station," she said as Jack took his seat. "Home of the Galactic Council and your destination for the next month, Ambassador." "Looks cozy," Jack said. A few nervous laughs echoed around the table. General Powell didn't smile. "The Council has agreed to discuss Earth's petition for membership, but our intelligence suggests they're not happy about it. 27 species make up the Council, and at least half view us as a potential threat." The hologram changed to show various alien species. Jack had spent months studying them all. The tall, four-armed Zethal with their logical minds, the reptilian Mervians with their honor codes, the ghostly Kier who collected and sold information. "Our problem is simple," continued Powell. "Most species took thousands of years to develop FTL travel after achieving spaceflight. We did it in less than 300. That scares them." Jack nodded. "They think we're advancing too quickly, that we're unpredictable." "They're right," said a voice from the back of the room. Admiral Ben Rogers stepped forward. "Which is why the President selected you for this mission, Miller. Your background makes you uniquely qualified." Jack and the Admiral exchanged a look. That made Lily shift uncomfortably in her seat. There was history there, something unspoken. "The delegation leaves tomorrow," Powell said. "Ambassador Miller, Lily as your assistant, Security Chief Susan Reeves, and 4 support staff. The Council has permitted only 1 small security detail, so Chief Reeves will select her team carefully." A tall woman with short blonde hair nodded from across the table. Susan Reeves had served in Earth's Special Forces before joining diplomatic security. Jack had requested her personally. "Now for the sensitive part," Admiral Rogers said, pressing a button that activated privacy shields. Around the room. "Our deep cover sources have provided troubling information." The hologram shifted to show recordings of council meetings, secret sessions not meant for human eyes. "The Galactic Council is divided on how to handle humanity," Rogers explained. "Some advocate for guidance and patience. Others see us as too dangerous to be allowed full access to galactic technology." On the recording, a tall Zethal spoke in a translated voice. "Humans achieved in centuries what took us millennia. Their adaptability makes them unpredictable. Unpredictability leads to conflict." A Mervian counselor responded, "Then the solution is clear. Their advancement must be contained." Jack watched without expression. "They're afraid of us." "Yes," Powell agreed, "and fear makes people do desperate things. Our sources indicate that a faction within the Council is considering taking action against Earth, possibly starting with your delegation." "What kind of action?" asked Lily, speaking for the first time. Her young face showed concern. Rogers and Powell exchanged glances. "We're not certain," Rogers said carefully. "But the diplomatic summit may be more dangerous than it appears." Jack's face remained calm. "So I'm walking into a possible trap. We can cancel the mission," Powell offered. "Find another approach." "No," Jack said firmly. "This is our best chance to secure humanity's place in the galactic community. If they're planning something, I'd rather face it directly than wait for them to act against Earth. After the briefing ended, Jack returned to his office to review the files one more time. He paid special attention to the Council's security systems, memorizing layouts and protocols that most diplomats would consider unimportant. A knock at his door interrupted his study. Lily stood there with a cup of coffee. "You should get some sleep, Ambassador. Big day tomorrow." Jack accepted the coffee with a nod. "I'll sleep on the ship. 15 hours in transit will give me plenty of time." Lily hesitated. "Sir, may I ask you something?" "Of course. Your file says you spent 20 years in diplomatic service, but some parts are classified. Everyone talks about you like you're more than just a diplomat." Jack sipped his coffee before answering. "Everyone has a past, Lily. Mine just happens to be useful now. Admiral Rogers seems to know you well. We served together a long time ago." Jack turned back to his work, signaling the end of the conversation. After Lily left, Jack opened a secure channel on his personal device. Admiral Rogers answered immediately. "Is everything ready?" Jack asked. "Yes, Project Reaper assets are in place, but Jack, the Council doesn't know what you are. This could be considered an act of war if discovered." "Only if I'm discovered," Jack replied calmly. "And only if they strike first. And if they don't, then I'm just a diplomat doing his job." Jack closed the channel and returned to studying the Council's security systems. That night, in the privacy of his quarters, Jack removed his shirt and stood before a mirror. Across his chest and back ran a network of faint silver lines that pulsed gently with a soft blue light. He pressed a spot near his heart, and the skin opened to reveal a small compartment containing vials of clear liquid. Jack took one vial and injected it into his arm. The silver lines brightened momentarily, then faded back to near invisibility. "One last calibration," he whispered to himself, as his eyes briefly flashed with the same blue light. "Let's hope diplomacy works this time." In orbit above Earth, the members of the Galactic Council's Intelligence Division watched the preparations for the human delegation's departure. "Are all arrangements in place?" asked Thrava, the Council's High Minister. "Yes," replied Vextor, his chief of security. "The humans will never know what hit them. Their ambassador Miller will meet with a tragic accident during his visit, and Earth will understand they are not ready for membership. And there will be no evidence linking it to us? None. It will appear to be a malfunction in their own equipment." Thrava nodded gravely. "It is regrettable but necessary. Humanity must be shown their place in the order of things, for the safety of all." What neither alien knew was that Earth had intercepted their transmission, and as Jack Miller prepared to depart, as humanity's representative, he went knowing exactly what awaited him, and exactly what he was prepared to do in response. The human ship emerged from its jump point near Concordia Station with a flash of blue light. Inside the ship, Jack Miller stood from his seat and straightened his formal diplomatic uniform. The 15-hour journey had given him time to prepare mentally for what lay ahead. "Concordia Station has granted us docking permission at Bay 47, said the pilot. "They're sending an escort." Jack nodded and turned to his team. "Remember, we're guests here. Follow protocol, stay alert, but do nothing to provoke suspicion." Lily Carpenter checked her tablet. "The welcoming committee includes representatives from 5 council races. Standard diplomatic greeting. And non-standard security," added Susan Reeves, checking a small device on her wrist. "I'm counting at least 20 guards in the docking area. That's twice the normal protocol." Jack smiled slightly. "They're being cautious. Let them think their caution is enough." The ship docked with a gentle bump. Jack led his team to the airlock, where they waited as pressure equalized. When the doors slid open, they were greeted by a wall of alien faces. A tall, four-armed Zethal stepped forward. Its silver skin gleamed under the station lights, and its voice came through a translator device with a metallic ring. "Ambassador Miller of Earth, I am Counselor Velix. Welcome to Concordia Station, home of the Galactic Council." Jack bowed his head slightly. "The honor is ours, Counselor. Earth is grateful for this opportunity." Felix gestured with 2 of his arms. These are representatives from the Council's diplomatic corps. They will assist your transition to station life. Jack was introduced to each alien in turn. A reptilian Mervian with scales that shifted color with its mood. A floating Kier whose translucent body seemed to ripple like water. A bulky Tauran with skin like rough bark. And a slender Vef whose 6 eyes blinked independently of each other. Your quarters have been prepared in the diplomatic wing, Felix continued. Tonight there will be a formal reception. Tomorrow preliminary discussions begin. As they followed their escort through the massive station, Lily whispered to Jack, "The Kier representative keeps watching you." "The Kier watch everyone," Jack replied quietly. "They're information brokers. Everything they see has value to someone." The diplomatic wing was a circular section of the wheel-shaped station. Their quarters occupied a suite of rooms with viewports looking out at the stars. Jack noted the single entrance and exit, the air vents positioned in the ceiling, the security cameras disguised as lighting fixtures. "Chief Reeves, secure our rooms," Jack ordered once they were alone. Susan nodded and pulled out a small device. She walked methodically through each room, scanning for surveillance equipment. 4 bugs in the main room, 2 in your private quarters, Ambassador. Standard council models. "Leave them," Jack said, "but run interference on the audio feed. Let them hear only what we want them to hear." While Reeves worked, Lily unpacked the diplomatic materials. The schedule they provided shows 3 days of preliminary talks before the full council meets to hear our petition. 3 days for them to assess us, Jack said, and 3 days for us to learn what we can. A chime at the door announced their first visitor. Jack opened it to find a Mervian standing outside, scales shifting from green to blue. "Ambassador Miller," the Mervian said through its translator. "I am Vextor, head of council security. I would like to offer you a private tour of the station." Jack recognized the name from the intercepted transmission. This was one of the council members plotting against the human delegation. "I would be honored," Jack replied with a practiced smile. "Give me a moment to inform my staff." When he turned back to his team, his expression was serious. "This is one of the conspirators. I'll go with him to see what information I can gather. Reeves, continue securing our position. Lily, begin analyzing the materials they've provided for inconsistencies." "Sir," Susan said quietly, "this could be dangerous." Jack's eyes hardened. "Everything about this mission is dangerous, Chief, but sometimes the best way to understand a trap is to step into it carefully." Jack followed Vextor through the station's corridors. The Mervian pointed out various features: hydroponics gardens where food was grown, recreation areas where diplomats socialized, and the Grand Council chamber where Earth's petition would eventually be heard. "The Council has stood for 12,000 years, Vextor said. 27 species working together for peace and progress. And now you consider adding a 28th, Jack replied. Vextor's scales rippled slightly. Some feel humanity has not yet proven itself ready, because we developed faster than expected? Partly, the Mervian admitted, but also because your species has a unique history. Most spacefaring races have united their planets before reaching the stars. Yours still maintains separate nations, separate militaries. We value diversity of thought, Jack said. Others might call it dangerous unpredictability, Vextor countered. They passed through a security checkpoint where Jack noted the positions of guards and weapon emplacements. The tour continued to the station's central hub where 7 corridors met in a vast circular chamber. The heart of Concordia, Vextor explained. From here one can access any section of the station. Jack committed the layout to memory, knowing it might prove vital later. When they returned to the diplomatic wing, Jack found Susan Reeves waiting with a concerned expression. What did you learn? She asked once Vexitor had departed. They've added security checkpoints that weren't in our briefing materials, Jack said. And the central hub has blast doors that can isolate each section of the station. They're preparing containment measures. That evening, the human delegation attended the formal reception in the Grand Hall. Hundreds of aliens from various council species mingled, some openly curious about the humans, others visibly wary. The High Minister of the Council, Thrava, approached Jack. The ancient Zethal moved slowly, his 4 arms clasped before him in a gesture of formal greeting. Ambassador Miller, I trust your accommodations are satisfactory. More than satisfactory, Minister. Your hospitality honors Earth. Thrava's silver face showed no expression. I understand Counselor Vextor provided you with a tour today. I hope you found it informative. Very, Jack replied. Though I noted some recent security enhancements that weren't in your station schematics. A flicker of surprise crossed the minister's face before he regained composure. The council values the safety of all its guests. Sometimes updates occur more quickly than documentation can follow. As they spoke, servers circulated with food and drinks. One offered Jack a tray of small blue fruits. Jack recognized them from his briefing as Gelvian berries, mildly toxic to humans, but harmless to most council species. Without hesitation, Jack took one and ate it, maintaining eye contact with Thrava. The minister's eyes widened slightly. Ambassador, those are not suitable for human consumption. Jack smiled. My mistake. They look quite similar to an earth fruit. He showed no sign of discomfort as he continued the conversation. Later in their quarters, Lily approached Jack with concern. Sir, our database says those berries should have caused severe stomach pain at minimum. Are you feeling all right? Jack looked at her calmly. I'm fine, Lily. Some things in my file remain classified for good reason. That night, while his team slept, Jack stood at the viewport looking out at the stars. He pressed a spot near his heart, and once again the skin opened to reveal the compartment with vials. One was now empty. He took out another vial and injected it into his arm. The silver lines beneath his skin pulsed more strongly than before. They're moving faster than expected, he whispered to himself. We need to be ready. In another part of the station, Thrava met with Vextor in a secure chamber. Did you see it? Thrava asked. He ate the Gelvian berry without effect. Vextor's scales darkened. Impossible. Their biology cannot process the toxin. Unless, Thrava said slowly, this human is not what he appears to be. All the more reason to proceed with our plan quickly, Vextor replied. The containment fields are ready. Tomorrow, when they enter the preliminary discussion chamber. Tomorrow, Thrava. Agreed. The humans must be stopped before they can take their place among us, for the good of the council. Neither realized that their secure chamber had been compromised. In the human quarters, a small device on Susan Reeves's wrist quietly recorded every word of their conversation, transmitting it directly to Jack Miller's neural interface. Morning on Concordia Station was an artificial concept. The massive wheel kept turning, its lights dimming and brightening to create a 26-hour day that matched no world but satisfied most species. Jack Miller woke before the scheduled dawn and checked the security feeds that Susan Reeves had tapped into overnight. The station was alive with unusual activity. Guards changed positions, technicians checked systems, and in the council's private chambers, Thrava and Vextor spoke in hushed tones. Jack called his team together for a briefing. They're moving today, he said without preamble. The preliminary discussions are a trap. Lily's eyes widened. What kind of trap? They've installed containment fields in the discussion chamber, Jack explained, showing footage from security cameras. And these pipes here? He pointed to newly installed conduits. They're not for air circulation. Gas delivery system, Susan said grimly. Probably neurotoxin. Jack nodded. They plan to seal us in and eliminate us quietly, make it look like an equipment malfunction. We should abort the mission, Lily said. Contact Earth for extraction. No, Jack replied firmly. This is exactly what we anticipated. Now we implement our countermeasures. He turned to Lily. I need you to take most of our staff and return to our ship. Tell the council you need to retrieve some forgotten diplomatic materials. You want us to leave you here? Lily asked incredulously. Just temporarily, Jack assured her. Once you're aboard, have the pilot prepare for emergency departure, but do not leave. Wait for my signal. Jack looked at Susan. You'll stay with me. I need someone I can trust to watch my back. Susan nodded, her face grim but determined. What about the council's plan? Lily asked. Jack's expression hardened. Let them spring their trap. Sometimes the best way to expose a predator is to become willing prey. 2 hours later, Jack and Susan walked toward the discussion chamber. 6 alien guards escorted them, supposedly for their protection. Your staff is not joining us, Ambassador? Asked a Zethal diplomat who waited by the chamber doors. A minor logistical issue, Jack explained smoothly. They'll join us shortly. The Zethal's silver face betrayed no emotion, but Jack noticed a subtle signal passed between the alien and the guards. The discussion chamber was a small room with a circular table. Representatives from 5 council species waited inside. Jack recognized them as members of the anti-human faction from Earth's intelligence briefings. Please be seated, said Councillor Velix, gesturing to 2 chairs. We have much to discuss regarding Earth's petition. Jack and Susan took their seats. Jack placed a small device on the table before him. A standard translator, but Susan knew it contained other functions. Before we begin, Jack said, I want to thank the Council for this opportunity. Earth has much to offer the galactic community. Yes, replied Velix, his forearms making a gesture that Jack recognized as insincere agreement. Your technological advancement is remarkable, though some find the pace of your development concerning, added a Mervian counselor. Jack smiled. Humanity has always adapted quickly to new challenges. It's in our nature. As they spoke, Jack noticed subtle movements around the room. Guards shifted positions. A technician entered quietly through a side door and checked a control panel. Chief Reeves, Jack said calmly, would you please give our colleagues the report? On Earth's industrial capacity, I believe I left it in our quarters. Susan understood the signal. Of course, Ambassador. I'll retrieve it immediately. Before she could stand, Velix raised one of his 4 hands. That won't be necessary. We have more pressing matters to discuss first. The doors to the chamber sealed with a hiss. Jack heard the hum of energy fields activating. On the ceiling, small vents opened. Is there a problem? Jack asked, feigning ignorance. Thrava entered through a door that had been concealed in the wall. The High Minister looked at Jack with an expression that might have been regret on his alien face. Ambassador Miller, Thrava said, the Council has reached a decision regarding humanity's petition. Without a full hearing? Jack asked. That seems contrary to your procedures. Some threats require exceptional measures, Thrava replied. Humanity has advanced too quickly. Your species is too unpredictable, too dangerous to be allowed unrestricted access to galactic technology. Jack's expression remained neutral. And your solution is to murder Earth's diplomatic delegation? How does that demonstrate the Council's supposed moral superiority? Vextor stepped forward, his scales turning a dark red. It is regrettable, but necessary. Your deaths will be attributed to a malfunction in your own equipment. Earth will be offered condolences and restricted membership with appropriate supervision. I see, Jack said calmly. He glanced at Susan, who had edged closer to him. And you believe Earth will simply accept this explanation? They will have no choice, Thrava said. The alternative would be isolation or conflict with 27 advanced species. A fine mist began to spray from the ceiling vents. Jack recognized the sweet smell of nervane gas, a potent neurotoxin that could kill most organic life within minutes. Susan immediately covered her mouth, but Jack placed a hand on her arm. It's too late for that, he said quietly. He reached into his pocket and removed a small injector, which he pressed against her neck. What are you doing? She gasped. Protecting you, Jack replied. The antidote will keep you alive, but you need to appear affected. Drop to the floor when I signal. The council members watched from behind a transparent barrier that had risen to protect them from the gas. They observed with clinical detachment as the gas filled the chamber. Susan began to cough, then slumped forward in her chair. Jack caught her and gently lowered her to the floor. To the watching aliens, it appeared she had succumbed to the neurotoxin. Your security officer has fallen, Ambassador, Vextor noted. You will soon follow. The gas affects human physiology quite rapidly. Jack remained seated, breathing normally despite the thick cloud of toxins surrounding him. That's an interesting hypothesis, counselor. Let's test it, shall we? Confusion spread across the alien faces as Jack showed no signs of distress. Seconds stretched into minutes and still he sat calmly at the table. Impossible, whispered Thrava. The concentration is lethal to all carbon-based life. Jack smiled thinly. A common misconception about humans. We're full of surprises. He stood slowly and approached the barrier separating him from the council members. The aliens backed away, alarm evident in their movements. Increase the concentration, ordered Vextor to a technician. The mist grew thicker until Jack was barely visible within it. Yet his voice came through clearly. I warned Earth that diplomacy might fail. They prepared accordingly. The silver lines beneath Jack's skin began to glow visibly through his clothing. His eyes shimmered with the same blue light. What are you? Gasped Thrava. Jack placed a hand against the barrier. Where his skin touched the energy field, it sizzled and began to warp. I am what you forced us to create, Jack replied. You should have welcomed humanity with open arms. Instead, you chose fear. The barrier between them began to crack under Jack's touch. Alarms blared throughout the chamber. Seal the entire section, Vextor shouted. Full containment protocol. But it was too late. The barrier shattered, and Jack Miller stepped through the broken energy field, his body now visibly transformed. The silver lines covered his skin in intricate patterns, pulsing with energy. His eyes glowed with an intense blue light. The council members backed away in terror. You struck first, Jack said, his voice eerily calm as he advanced toward them. But you should have asked yourselves an important question before you did. What question? Thrava asked, trembling. Jack's lips curved into a cold smile. If humans managed to develop so quickly on their own, what else might they have developed that you don't know about? Behind him, Susan Reeves rose silently from the floor, her eyes alert and focused. The trap had failed, and now the hunters would become the hunted. Chaos erupted throughout Concordia Station. Alarms blared as security teams rushed toward the diplomatic section. Council members fled to safety bunkers deep within the station core. Ordinary aliens huddled in their quarters, wondering what emergency had triggered a station-wide lockdown. In the discussion chamber, Jack Miller stood amid the swirling neurotoxin, his transformed appearance causing the council members to back away in fear. The silver lines covering his skin pulsed with energy. As he approached Thrava and Vextor, What are you? Thrava asked again, his forearms trembling. A contingency, Jack replied calmly. Earth suspected the council might reject us through extreme measures. I volunteered for Project Reaper long before I became a diplomat. Susan. Reeves had recovered fully from her apparent collapse. She drew a small weapon from a hidden holster and moved to guard the chamber entrance. The station is locked down, sir, she reported. Security teams are converging on our position. Jack nodded, exactly as expected. He turned back to the council members. You have a choice now. You can continue this ill-advised conflict, or you can listen to what I have to say. Vextor's scales had turned pale gray, a sign of extreme fear in Mervians. You cannot escape. The entire diplomatic wing is sealed. Jack smiled. I'm not trying to escape, counselor. I'm trying to have a conversation. He pressed a small device on his wrist. Around the station, security systems began to malfunction. Doors opened and closed, randomly. Communications sputtered with static. What is happening? Demanded Thrava. I spent months studying your systems, Jack explained. Every security protocol, every emergency procedure. While you were watching me, I was learning how to dismantle your defenses from within. In the security control center, alien technicians worked frantically to regain control. Screens flickered with warning messages in dozens of languages. Command consoles locked and unlocked at random intervals. The human has compromised our network, reported a Zethal security officer. He's accessing restricted protocols. Back in the discussion chamber, Jack approached the main console. The silver lines on his hands glowed brighter as he placed them on the control surface. Somehow he was interfacing directly with the station's systems. Project Reaper wasn't just about creating diplomats who could survive assassination attempts, Jack explained as he worked. It was about creating individuals who could adapt to any environment or technology. My body contains synthetic components that allow me to interface with systems, process toxins, and adapt to hostile conditions. You're a weapon, Vexistor accused. No, Jack corrected. I'm insurance. I was a diplomat for 20 years before this transformation. Those skills are real. Peace was always the first option. Susan kept her weapon trained on the council members. Sir, station security is trying to break through the outer doors. We have maybe 10 minutes. Jack nodded. More than enough time. His fingers danced across the console, moving faster than human reflexes should allow. I'm accessing your secure archives now. Impossible, Thrava exclaimed. Those files are protected by quantum encryption. Quantum encryption that was designed without considering human neuroscience, Jack replied. Your systems are elegant but predictable. We found weaknesses months ago. On screens around the chamber, classified council files began to appear. Records of previous encounters with emerging species. Evidence of similar diplomatic accidents that had befallen other civilizations who had advanced too quickly for the Council's comfort. 7 species, Jack said, his voice hardening. 7 potential council members who suffered mysterious tragedies after developing faster than expected. We suspected you had done this before, but now we have proof. Jack continued, accessing files. And here, contingency plans for a direct strike against Earth if diplomacy failed. Military assessments of our defenses. Target lists for our major cities and infrastructure. The council members stared in horror as their most secret plans were exposed. This is treason, Vextor hissed. No, Jack countered. This is justice. You planned the elimination of my species because we made you uncomfortable. Because we didn't fit your tidy vision of how civilizations should develop. Jack's hands moved away from the console. The station-wide communication system activated, broadcasting his voice to every section of Concordia. Attention all species of the Galactic Council. This is Ambassador Jack Miller of Earth. The Council leadership has attempted to assassinate Earth's diplomatic delegation. This was not an isolated incident. Evidence of similar actions against other emerging species is being transmitted to all communication channels now. Throughout the station, aliens gathered around screens and communication devices. The evidence Jack had uncovered was streaming to every corner of Concordia and beyond, to member worlds across the galaxy. What have you done? Whispered Thrava. Created transparency, Jack replied. Something the Council has avoided for thousands of years. The outer doors to the chamber shuddered as security teams tried to force them open. Susan glanced at Jack. Sir, we're running out of time. Jack nodded and pressed another control on his wrist. Lily, execute Phase 3. Across the station, in Docking Bay 47, the human ship powered up its engines. But instead of attempting to flee, it transmitted a signal into deep space. In the blackness beyond Concordia, space rippled as 5 Earth vessels materialized from FTL jumps. They took defensive positions around the station, weapons powered but not targeting any specific section. Reinforcements, Jack explained to the stunned council members. Earth wasn't foolish enough to send its only diplomat without backup. This is an act of war, Thrava said weakly. No, this is a negotiation. Jack's transformed body began to return to its normal appearance, the silver lines fading beneath his skin. Earth still desires peace and cooperation with the Galactic Council, but it will be on fair terms, not as a subordinate to be controlled or eliminated when convenient. The chamber doors finally burst open. Security teams rushed in, weapons drawn, but froze at the scene before them. Their leaders, cornered by 2 humans, their secrets exposed throughout the station. And beyond the viewports, Earth ships holding position. Lower your weapons, ordered Jack. No one needs to die today. Reluctantly, the security teams complied. Jack turned back to Thrava and Vextor. Here are our terms. Earth will join the Council as a full member. A new oversight committee will be established to review the Council's past actions and ensure transparent governance moving forward. and your militaries will stand down from their preparations against Earth. And if we refuse? Asked Thrava. Jack's eyes flashed blue one last time. Then the evidence of your crimes against multiple species will be broadcast to every world in the galaxy. I suspect many of your own people would be displeased to learn how their leaders have behaved. Susan's communication device beeped. Sir, Lily reports that all data has been successfully transmitted to Earth. Our position is secure. Jack nodded. Good. He looked at the council members, his expression softening slightly. I was sent here as a diplomat, and that role remains my preference. Violence was never our first choice, only our contingency if you forced our hand. For a long moment, silence filled the chamber. Then Thrava's 4 shoulders slumped in defeat. We'll consider your terms, Ambassador Miller. Excellent, Jack replied. I look forward to a more honest dialogue between our peoples. As security teams escorted the council members away, Susan moved closer to Jack. You think they'll actually agree? Jack watched as his skin completed its return to normal appearance. Only his eyes retained a faint blue glow. They don't have much choice. The age of council secrets is over. Now we see if they can adapt as quickly as humans do. Throughout Concordia Station, thousands of aliens watched the evidence of their leaders' betrayals with shock and anger. A new era of galactic politics had begun, sparked by humanity's refusal to be silenced. 1 week later, Jack Miller stood before the full Galactic Council. The Grand Chamber was packed with representatives from all 27 member species. The events in the diplomatic wing had sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. Now, those ripples had become a tide of change. Jack wore a formal Earth uniform, simple and blue with minimal decorations. His appearance was fully human again, the silver lines hidden beneath his skin. Only his eyes, with their subtle blue glow, hinted at what lay beneath the surface. Beside him stood Lily, Susan, and the rest of the Earth delegation. Behind them, in seats usually reserved for honored guests, sat the captains of the 5 Earth vessels that remained in orbit around Concordia. High Minister Thrava addressed the assembly, his silver face now marked with symbols of contrition, dark lines etched into the metal-like skin as was customary for Zethal who had failed their duty. The Council acknowledges its grave error in the treatment of Earth's representatives, Thrava said, his voice carrying throughout the chamber. The actions taken against Ambassador Miller and his team violated our most sacred principles of diplomacy and peaceful cooperation. Murmurs spread through the assembly. Many council members had been shocked by the evidence Jack had released. Some demanded the immediate removal of Thrava and his co-conspirators. Others feared what Earth might demand as compensation. In light of these events, Thrava continued, and the evidence presented regarding similar actions against other emerging species, the Council leadership has agreed to Earth's terms. Jack stepped forward to address the assembly. His voice was calm, showing no hint of triumph or anger. Earth does not seek revenge, he said. We seek partnership. The galaxy faces challenges that no single species can solve alone. We have much to learn from you, and perhaps some things to teach as well. A Mervian counselor rose to speak, her scales a thoughtful blue-green. Ambassador Miller, many are curious. You could have exposed us, destroyed the Council's authority. Why seek membership instead? Jack smiled slightly. Because isolation serves no one. Because despite your leadership's mistakes, the idea of the Council remains noble. Species working together for mutual benefit and advancement. He gestured to the assembly. Look around you. 27 unique evolutionary paths, 27 different ways of thinking and solving problems. Together you've built something remarkable. Earth wants to be part of that future, not destroy it. The Cure representative floated forward, its translucent body rippling. Yet you came prepared for war. Your body, your ships, your plans, all suggest you expected betrayal. We hoped for peace but prepared for all outcomes, Jack acknowledged. That's the human way. We imagine the worst while working toward the best. Jack turned to face Thrava, directly. The terms Earth proposed were not punitive. We ask only for three things: full membership, transparency in council operations, and a review of past actions against other species. Thrava's forearms made a gesture of acceptance. These terms have been approved. The council formally extends membership to Earth effective immediately. Applause broke out in some sections of the chamber, though many aliens remained reserved, watching Jack with new wariness. A screen lowered from the chamber ceiling, displaying the text of a new galactic charter. Jack read through it carefully, then nodded to Lily, who approached with a small device. Earth accepts membership under these terms, Jack said, placing his thumb on the device. It scanned his print and transmitted the official acceptance. Then it is done, Thrava declared. Earth is now the 28th member of the Galactic Council. After the ceremony, Jack and his team returned to their quarters. The mood was one of cautious celebration. We did it, Lily said, smiling for the first time in days. I wasn't sure we'd make it out alive, let alone achieve full membership. Susan nodded, though her expression remained serious. They'll be watching us closely now. Some will look for any excuse to say humans are too dangerous. Let them watch, Jack replied. We have nothing to hide. A chime at the door announced a visitor. Jack opened it to find Admiral Grace Henson, commander of the Earth fleet in orbit around Concordia. Ambassador, she said with a crisp salute. Earth Command sends their congratulations. The President is very pleased with the outcome. Jack invited her inside. We got lucky, Admiral. If they had chosen diplomacy from the start, we might never have had an opportunity to gain the upper hand. Admiral Henson looked at him thoughtfully. Was there really no other way? The Project Reaper enhancements, the backup fleet, the information warfare. It all seems very aggressive for a diplomatic mission. Jack's expression grew somber. 20 years as a diplomat taught me something important, Admiral. Sometimes, respect only comes after you've demonstrated strength. We had to show the Council that humanity wouldn't be an easy target. And the cost? She asked quietly. The changes to your body? The risks you took? Jack glanced down at his hands. For a moment, the silver lines beneath his skin glowed faintly before fading again. A small price for peace. The enhancements are permanent, but they'll serve as a reminder to the Council that humans are full of surprises. The next day, Jack stood at a viewport overlooking the docking bays. 4 of the 5 Earth ships were preparing to return home, their mission complete. Only one would remain as a permanent embassy vessel. Thrava joined him at the viewport, standing silently for a moment before speaking. Your ships are impressive, Ambassador, much more advanced than we expected. There's a lot about Earth you don't know yet, Jack replied. That's the problem with judging a species before you truly understand them. Thrava's metal-like face could not show emotion, but his voice carried regret. We feared what we did not understand. It nearly led us to destruction. A very human mistake, Jack said with a small smile. Perhaps we're not so different after all. What happens now? Asked the High Minister. Many council members fear Earth will seek to dominate. Jack turned to face him. Earth has no interest in domination, but we won't be controlled or threatened either. The new Oversight Committee begins work tomorrow. I suggest full cooperation. And you, Ambassador, will you remain on Concordia? Jack nodded. My diplomatic skills are still needed here, perhaps more than ever. Project Reaper created me to be a weapon if necessary, but my true purpose has always been to build bridges, not destroy them. As Thrava departed, Jack received a message from Earth Command. He opened it on his personal device and smiled at its contents. Project Reaper status: complete. Phase 2 authorized. Diplomatic integration proceeding as planned. Jack closed the message and looked out at the stars beyond Concordia. Humanity had secured its place in the galaxy, not through conquest but through preparation and resolve. The Council had struck first, but in doing so, they had opened the door to a future they never expected. The human diplomat might have been death in disguise, but his true gift to the galaxy would be life. A new beginning for the Council and for Earth, together among the stars.